10 years since The Weeknd dropped House of Balloons, and I just wanted to take a little bit of time, if you'll allow me, to talk about how this record has completely changed my life. And if you're new to this channel, it might not be in the way that you think, but if you aren't new to this channel, if you've been on this journey with me, you'll know it's only been about 18 months since I first heard this record. 6th of October 2019, in fact, is when I dropped the video. So let me just rewind a little bit to October 2019 and talk about kind of where I was in my YouTube career. So if you've been following this kind of music reaction journey for a while, you know I was on a channel called Rock Reacts. It blew up really quickly, it did really well, and then in August of that year, 2019, that came to an end, and that's another story for another time. And it meant that I had to kind of restart from the beginning. I think this channel that I'm speaking on right now had about 18 to 20,000 subscribers in August 2019. A bunch came over from Rock Reacts, leaving me about 30k subscribers, but pretty much compared to a channel that was nearly at 300k, we were starting from scratch, and it was difficult. It was definitely difficult. I was putting out videos, some were getting traction, some weren't, but so many requests under every single video. Didn't matter what genre, didn't matter what type of song. Please do the Weeknd trilogy, please do the Weeknd House of Balloons. And at this point, while I'd heard the Weeknd's music, some on the radio, and reacted to a couple of songs, I'd never really been back to the beginning. So it made sense to do it, but little did I know, what I was in for. Now, the video Weeknd House of Balloons Trilogy Part 1 full album reaction, first time hearing, a bit of a mouthy one, it sits at, 438,000 views, which is crazy to think that that many people have sat and watched me listening to this album, but it just kind of shows how important this album is to so many people. And then I've just gone back through and watched clips from that video again. I do watch it from time to time because it's so amazing to be able to have your own memories captured on camera. You can see points in that reaction during High for this, during House of Balloons, Last Table Girls, obviously during Wicked Games, and then after that I'm kind of just like broken by the whole thing, just absolutely floored by it, where you can see my musical taste changing, but also an understanding of where I thought The Weeknd was as an artist, and perhaps where I thought R&B was as a genre, and actually how deeply connected this music that I was listening to at that very moment was with so much music that I already loved. So much sort of heavy synth-laden 80s music, industrial music. There's a lot of Nine Inch Nails in there. But I dropped the video, right? I have no idea what it's going to do. Hopefully some people will come on and watch it. But what happened is what has really changed my life, because thousands of people have come and watched this video, and then hundreds of thousands of people have come and watched this video, and then a few months later Abel releases Heartless and Blinding Lights, and thousands of people came and watched my reactions to that, and then obviously around a year ago now, Happy First Birthday, After Hours comes out. And this kind of sequence of events, and obviously doing the other Weeknd albums, the rest of Trilogy, Kissland, Beauty Behind the Madness, etc, etc. That's where the growth started to really happen in my channel. And it wasn't the people that had been watching Rock Reacts before. I'm sure there was some crossover. It was a whole new audience, the amazing XO family, finding these videos, talking about these videos amongst themselves, putting them on Reddit, putting them on Facebook, and coming and supporting what I was doing. And I mean, I'm just eternally thankful for that. It's unbelievable, and it allowed me to be in a position when After Hours came out that video immediately did really well and got pushed up through the algorithm, and that is now the biggest video on my channel, the After Hours reaction, nearly 500,000 on that one, which for a channel my size is serious numbers. I think I just want to make the point as well, these videos aren't making me money. This isn't about that. The money goes to the record label, but what these videos have done has allowed me to connect with an amazing audience of fans who now, whenever Abel drops anything, whether it's music, whether it's a piece of news, I get hundreds and hundreds of people contacting me through YouTube, through Twitter, Instagram, whatever, telling me about, excited for me to talk about it or see it. And having that connection with you guys, the XO family, is amazing. And considering that I only heard this record, this life-changing album, 18 months ago for the first time, the fact that you guys haven't gatekept me around it, haven't said, okay, this guy wasn't there in the beginning, this guy isn't one of the original fans. No, quite the opposite. I mean, I feel like I've been truly embraced as a fan, and truly let it be known, I am a fan. But the fact that there has been no gatekeeping, and it really just shows how amazing the fan base is. So without House of Balloons, I don't know if I'm sitting here talking to you guys right now about House of Balloons. Now, obviously, I wouldn't be because that's what the video's about, but you know what I mean? We just crossed 250,000 subscribers, and we all spent the last 12 months inside this crazy pandemic. And without going into too much detail, and I've spoken about this before, work situation, as it has for so many people, changed 12 months ago. Yet, the fan base around the weekend allowed me to turn this into a full-time endeavour. And for that, again, I am eternally, incomprehensibly grateful. So once again, the Weeknd's House of Balloons changed my life. But let's just talk about it musically for a minute, okay? I mean, I'm blessed and lucky enough that there is this video there that I can go and reference. And then we fuck faces. And other people can go and reference, and I can see the moments where things changed, the moments where those bits of music hit me. But also on top of that, when you listen to and react to and cover and talk about an album that so many people have asked you to cover, and also so many people hold in such high esteem, so many people love, there is a different energy. It's almost like an intangible energy around that album that really can affect how you listen to it. So when High for This drops for the first time and all the synths come in, not only do you hear that kind of amazing musical drop and musical moment and the fucking energy and the goosebumps that it gives you, but at the same time, it's almost like there's 10 million spirits all experiencing it at the same time, and I'm taking that in with it. It's a really difficult thing to describe. I think one thing a music critic, I don't consider myself that, would try and do is divorce themselves from that. And if they're just doing new music, it's much easier because it doesn't have that weight of expectation and that weight of feeling around it. And if they're talking about older music, and I used to do this as a video game critic, which was my previous career, I try and take away all the hype, divorce myself from that, and try and look at it as objectively as possible. You can't be objective because it's just your personal feelings, but you're trying to take away all of the context, all of the outside sources as much as possible. But when I do this, I kind of do the opposite. I try and allow that to colour the feeling as well, because it gives it a different type of energy. But now with this album, I feel like I've got my own kind of energy, my own kind of history with it, and it's very unique given the situation around it. You know, this means things to me in completely different ways than it means to most people, but at the same time, I now feel, and we did this when the listening party a little while ago, I now feel when I hear these songs, I have that connection with the album in a very similar way. It can't never be the same way as everybody else, especially with the OGs from 10 years ago, but in a similar way. And let's just talk about some of those songs for a minute. Abel has just put the original version on streaming services with the original samples. I'm looking forward to spending some time and listening to that very soon. But just talking about the one that we've all been listening to for all of this time, yeah, High for This, the way it drags you, it pulls you into this world. The whole album's an exercise in world building, just from the name, the atmosphere that it creates. And High for This is literally an instructional of how to interact with this record, but also how the character in the story, the female in the story, or whoever you might want to sort of plant in the story, needs to be, whether physically actually ingesting narcotics or just in a certain state of mind to be taken into this. But the song will also do that to you. What You Need, which I know has a different sample on the original version, which I'm looking forward to listening to, it feels like you're on a journey again to where the album is really going to take you. And then the House of Balloons, Glass Table Girl hits. House of Balloons itself, an amazing kind of almost jubilant drug frenzy of a track, and then the darkness comes halfway through with Glass Table Girls, and everything changes. Everything changes in that moment. And at that moment, when I felt that kind of industrial rhythm come in, and you can see it in the original reaction, when I felt that 9 Inch Nails element come in, that's when I knew that I'd gone to a different place. And that's when I knew, as much as I'd been enjoying the record before, that things were about to change for me and this artist forever. But then you have the Blissed Out in the Morning, which is a nice little break before you go into the fucking, I don't know, the depths, I guess you'd say, of Wicked Games, a song that is just legendary. I mean, about as obvious a 10 out of 10 a track as you can ever imagine, just from the vocal performance, just from the sort of contrast between the beauty of how it sounds to the griminess of the lyrical content, to the drops, to the structure, to the harmonies, everything about it. And then a slightly more complex track in the party and the after party, which I actually had listened to long before listening to this as a sort of request back on Rock Reacts, and not really got. It was felt long and self-indulgent. And it's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what it's supposed to be. But within the context of the album and understanding the artist, it's everything that you can possibly want from another 2-part track, and a great contrast to House of Balloon, Glass Table Girls, almost like that track flipped. Then you're kind of lost by that point. Coming Down, a phenomenal song. Loft music, almost like a song that could be taken out of the album and just played at any point. Almost like we're going back up again somehow. You know, we've done this whole experience. We've got all the way to Coming Down, and then we're going again. But perhaps by the time we get to the Knowing, and I know 28 isn't technically part of the 9-track original, you're into a kind of different part, a sort of heartbreaking part. There's an aching, a kind of longing in those songs. And it just takes you on this unbelievable journey. But every time that you listen to it, every time that I listen to it, I find something different. I find a different drop. I find a different sort of stylistic choice. So that's why it's going to be really interesting to go and listen to it with the original samples to see how much has changed. But I wanted to do this video, talking of change, about how this album, like I said, it completely changed my life. It's given me a completely different appreciation for R&B music. It's given me a completely different understanding of The Weeknd as an artist. It's given me... Basically, I mean, there are other factors involved, but this album and this reaction and that video has basically given me a career in this after jumping off what was already potentially a career in this world and trying again from the beginning. And like I say, ultimately, beyond anything else, I'm just so grateful for the amazing reception of the EXO family. So thank you very much for welcoming me and allowing me to listen to this music at the same time as you guys and experience this music with you. And here's to hopefully this fucking pandemic ending very soon and us all being able to go and see some of these songs being played and sung live by The Weeknd. Probably in 2022, realistically. So yeah, that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for indulging me on this one. And I look forward to more Weeknd reactions on the channel soon, hopefully. Alright guys, peace. EXO, DWOD. I don't even know what to say.